alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Hello and welcome to a live after. I'm Tim Niederreiter, and with me today is Ann Charles. Welcome, Ann.
Hi, thank you for having me on here.
Thanks for being on the show. It's not often, well, actually, it's fairly often now, but I get to talk to best-selling authors. It's always fun to talk to somebody who has maybe a bit of a, it was way ahead of me. Let me put it that way.
Well, a little bit more scarred and cut up on the back and all over, right? Beat up from the journey a little more.
I was looking at myself in the mirror. I'm like, this is. I hope I don't have to talk to somebody who's been beaten up more than me. No, but but yeah. So, what sort of stuff do you write, Ann? And tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, Ann Charles, and I write mixed genre. What that means is I couldn't pick straight mystery, straight romance, straight anything, just one genre. I ended up from the beginning mixing them up together to where I have, some of the books have about 40% romance, 60% mystery. Others have supernatural suspense thrown in, a good dollop of that. So I do a combination. A lot of my books are called the mystery series because there's usually a mystery of some sort we're solving. Sometimes it's a supernatural mystery. Sometimes it's a plain old mystery. But they're not like crime fiction books. They're much more character driven with a mix of, there's always humor because I like humor in my stories. There's some mystery, there's suspense, adventure, supernatural in several of the series. As well as the mystery and some romance too. So I like to throw it all together and just have fun with the characters. Every book, they are series. I have 5 different series I write. So the books are not really standalone. You could read one out of order, but you're going to get answers to what happened before. And for some people, that's fine. For others, you might want to read them in order. If you're like me and you're like, I have to read it in order, then you'll want to start back with the first of each series. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, Ann Charles.
Oh, nice. So you got a variety of things going on there. I mean, the mystery's prominent, obviously, but that's interesting. So you follow the same characters in each book for each series, or?
Yes.
Okay.
So so each series has a character and then it grows. It becomes a set of characters, of course, as you go, as the teams and the groups, change. And sometimes there'll be a character, a villain that's in this book 3, and then the villain won't come back until book 6, and come back around. So they're all tied together, woven. It's like a big rug woven together. So yeah, it takes a lot of work in just keeping track of the details so that I don't, if you binge read, I don't screw up, some consistency stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's kind of my fear. I'm writing an epic fantasy series right now. So I'm in book 2 and it's like, oh boy, by the time I have to deal with continuity, cause I haven't really dealt with that much of it yet. But I can't imagine by book 5 or 6, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine who is a world keeper, and she keeps track of my worlds using OneNote for me so that I can go back. And the OneNote files are huge. There's just so many details to keep track of for the way I pull things in from a book 2 books ago. I need to know what was it I had going on there. And so all kinds of details. And like I said, it's really important if you get binge readers that you make that consistent. And if on my own, by book 3, I'd be totally wrong eye colors. I'd just screw up everything. So I need help.
Yeah, eye color is a big one. I realize now that it's a big issue. Not a big issue, but it's a big challenge for me to remember what color the character's eyes were supposed to be, because I don't generally notice that sort of thing in real life.
Right.
So it's like, oh yeah, what did you look like again? Who are you?
Well, there's things like, oh, this character doesn't like to drink black coffee, and then 3 books later they're drinking black coffee, and the reader will say, that character doesn't like black coffee. So I mean, there's just crazy details, just like a person, you have to keep track of. The characters are people. Characters are people, too, and keep track of all those crazy details.
Yeah. So and so you have someone else who helps you with that. That's probably got to be really useful, especially with 5 series.
Yes,
So do
she's
you?
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
Go on. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say her business is called Your World Keeper, and she came to me way back when I was on book 3 of my Deadwood Mystery series. That was a long time ago, and she's a fan. She'd been reading the books, and she noticed an inconsistency, and that was how it all started. And ever since, she's been helping me. I call her my backup brain. She gives me details that I can't, remember with the 5 different series. It's really hard to remember all that. Even if I was younger, I still think I would have problems. So my age has nothing to do with it. I swear. No, it's fun. And it's great to have someone there helping you along to go, hey, do you remember if we've ever talked about this? And she's had to read the book so many times, poor lady, that she can remember a lot of things as much as, as well as I can. So.
No, that's really cool. Actually, I don't currently have anyone like that, though. I have had people approach me who wanted to help me with my books, which is always a great feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
I always take help. I am happy to have help.
Generally, me
Please,
too.
yeah, it's like if you like to help, please. When it comes to that, when it comes to sales, promo team with every release, I need help because it's so hard to reach outside of what now Facebook has. Social media has you boxed in, and to get out of that without having to pay oodles of dollars, it takes help from other people.
Yeah. Yeah, I hadn't thought about it in that way very much anyway. I mean, it's really Facebook gives you, it gives you a lot of access, but then it doesn't give you a lot of exclusivity or power with people. Like, you can reach a lot of
Right.
people, but it's difficult to engage them sometimes.
Right. Yeah, it's a constant learning process for me to find ways to find new readers. People, there's so many books out there for people to choose from, and there's so many cheap books and sometimes free that it's really hard to get people to read your books. They'll take a free book a lot of times, and like me, I have a bunch of free books on my Kindle that I always go, well, no, I'm going to read this one first because I bought this one and I really like this author. And those frees just sit there, and some have been there for years, and they look cool. And I think one of these days I'm going to read those. But see, if you get on their Kindle or e-reader device and they don't read you, there's no benefit to, being free. And if they paid, that's cool, but that's a one-time sale, and they're not going any further. So it's really important for me anyway, to find ways to engage the readers, get to know them a little bit and interact, because I think that makes the whole experience more fun.
Yeah, definitely. I not to get too deep into the weeds here, because this show is not so much about the process of author marketing and editing. It's more about writing and reading. But it is really funny. It's actually it surprised me how much fun it was to get engaged in email audience, for example. My mailing list for a long time, I was just not doing much with it. I'm just like, oh, I'll just tell you when a new book's out and nothing else. And recently, I said, okay, I'm going to start trying to kind of, talk more about myself in these emails, talk more about and ask them questions and stuff.
Right.
And that's been pretty helpful, I think.
Good. Yeah, I think a lot of fans out there, a lot of readers want that personal touch. We have that much more in media these days, where we can see Joe actor behind the scenes with his family, and it gives it more depth. So they want that from authors as well. So, which isn't always easy for authors, because a lot of us like to just, go in our cave and write, and just put the book out. But I think it's important these days too. And it's fun. It can be really uplifting too, to have them there to cheer you on and keep you going.
Right. No matter how nice your cave is, you need to go out and meet the people you're going to be who are going to be reading your stories. Yeah.
Right. Get a little vitamin D, and and little tiny tan, so you're not so pale, and go forth. But yeah, it's the encouragement can be really good, because, as you know, this is it's a loner type, job, career, but
Yeah.
it's also, it leads to insecurities a lot of times because you just don't know how things are going out to the world. And feedback it can be harsh, but it can also be really beneficial. So
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I've yeah. How do you handle feedback? Actually, I want to say I know how I do it, but it's not good. I wouldn't recommend the way I do it to anyone.
now you
But
have me curious.
no, no,
What
no,
do you?
don't worry. I just kind of wallow in it. Like if it's good feedback, I'm gonna I get on a high for a while. I think it's pretty not that unusual, but I don't think it's really positive.
Mm,
But then if it's negative feedback, that can really set me back. Give me actually, even if it's just like one review that was 3 stars, that's enough to put me off my game for a little bit. And
yeah.
I gotta get better than that. That's
Oh, it's hard
ridiculous.
though. I mean, I've been doing this for 10 years and negative feedback is it's still, that's why I was joking about the scars on my
Mm,
back. You're going to take some heat. You always do. I mean, you're putting yourself out there. You're putting, even if you can distance yourself and say it's a product, it's still your product. And a lot of people, unfortunately, um, are not happy, and one of the ways to vent is to pull someone else down. And so authors can be easy targets. And if we're smart, we don't respond because we've seen that happen.
oh
When an
yeah,
author goes back, it blows up into this big mushroom cloud, and that author might as well just stop typing and go get a job somewhere else. So just you read it and I mean, how I handle it, I cringe a lot. I grit my teeth.
mm,
Sometimes I drink. Other time, I smile and I feel happy. But and positive feedback can be hard too because you have to live up to that with every release. What
right.
if this next release is the one where I suck, and I tank? So you have those angst things too. And so I go back to, I don't know, drinking through it. No, I'm kidding. It's thick skin, and I really have a lot of respect for authors that truly can just go, no big deal. Because I'm not there yet. 10 books in, or 10 books, 10 years in, almost 30 books in.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
still, I get, gouged every now and sucker punched.
Yeah. So that's a good number of books for that period of time, if you ask me. I mean, 3 or 4 books a year sounds like something like that.
Right. I've been obsessed, I think, for about a decade now with this book thing.
That's really cool. I'm always glad to hear other people who enjoy their work. I'm assuming that means you enjoy it, or are you just crazy? No offense,
A mixture
no
of both.
offense intended.
Yeah. No, it's, yes, enjoy it. There's parts I don't.
Mm.
I'll be completely honest. I loathe bookkeeping. I really do. I'm not an accountant. And so every month I will complain on Facebook to my friends on there about doing bookkeeping again. And I'm sure my accountant, who will weigh in with a smiley face, is just really tired of me complaining about it. But it's like, sorry, I just hate this part of the job so much. And I know you can hire somebody, but only you know what you spent this on, and you have to deal with that. So unless
Yeah.
someone's running a whole other show and you can just be insulated and write in your cave, then you got to do some bookkeeping at least.
Yeah, but you're not a bear. You can't just stay in the cave all the time. So
I
you gotta
like
go
the
out and do
cave.
the bookkeeping.
The cave's got unlimited, free or not free, unlimited Wi-Fi, so it's a nice cave. It's comfy, good
Yeah,
food.
it's a nice cave. Okay, so what's your favorite part of the writing process? If the bookkeeping is the least favorite part of the business, what part do you enjoy the most?
I think it's those scenes when you write them, and whether you laugh or you're scared when you're writing it because it's a scarier part,
Mm.
or it drums up emotion within you as you're writing the scene, and you're so excited to share that with someone else, and can't wait to hear when they read that part, if they laughed, if they swooned because it was a romantic part that you really liked, or how it affected them, or they cringed and hid under the bed. I love it when readers will say, I was reading this late into the night and I had to stop because you had me too scared. I mean, it's like, oh, good. I really scared you that time.
Got 'em.
So, so I think that's one of my favorite parts of the job is that. And the other would have to be when you get those emails or messages or letters and they tell you my mom or my sister was dying of cancer and I took your book into the hospital room and read to her every day, and we would laugh and you were such a great part of that for her. So those are also some of my favorites. Not that the person was ill or dying, just that you could help someone on their way through a painful time. Escape from that everyday, hell they were in. So I think that's one of my other favorite things.
Yeah, that's magic. That's big magic, honestly.
Yeah.
So beyond the best and the worst kind of parts of the of the life of a writer, what do you find to be the most challenging part, or is it just the parts that are more difficult?
Challenging is
not more difficult. That are the parts that you like less. Are they more challenging, or do you think are there parts of the process that you feel like you couldn't get them right? Let me try that phrasing.
Well, are you talking about the overall career in total, or just the
any part of it?
process?
Any part of it. Writing process is kind of where I would fall there, but
yeah.
I mean, after 30 books, I imagine you're pretty good at this stuff by now.
Well, I study in between every book. I will find myself drawn to a certain type of movie or genre, book or book. For example, so I just finished Deadwood 11. It's just released. Deadwood Mystery Series number 11, Devil Days in Deadwood, and that has the humor, the suspense, a little bit of the, it's kind of cringy horror, mystery, all that good stuff, supernatural, a little bit of romance. So I come off that, and for some reason I am craving, and this is, seems way off genre, historical Regency romances.
This does sound a little bit different, yes.
I know. Other times I will come off a story and I will crave and read like crazy Westerns. And I will just soak up Westerns. Sometimes it's a contemporary type. So I'll come off a book and I'll have this, I call them cravings, because it won't be like I'll just read one book and be good. I've read in the last month since I finished the book and have been going through the process of marketing and getting the book out, I have read, I think, 15 historical Regency romances, which is way abnormal for me. And so then I think, what's going on? What am I doing? Why am I reading this? There's something that's building in the storyteller part of my brain that I'm studying. Something about that genre I'm studying. Not that I'm going to write a Regency romance, historical book at all. The next one will be another Deadwood with supernatural, the whole thing. But there's something in this that I usually figure it's a style of writing or something, because a lot of times it'll be one or two authors that I'm reading. I'm studying something about their writing to try to learn from it, to put that to better my own writing in some way. So that happens often enough that I'm still learning. I'm always learning. And I think good writers always do learn. You study and you learn. I'll watch movies a lot, because movies that I love and I will watch over and over, there's something in the dialogue that I love and the setting. To study how do you write a descriptive setting, watch a movie and see how they make a scene scary. What are they doing? What are they showing you? And so I try to incorporate that into writing as well. So it's always ongoing lessons, I think of it as, on how to improve my writing and how to get better at action scenes, how to get better at, like I said, doing a setting, giving you a setting. So it doesn't just feel like I painted it. No, it's alive. That setting needs to be alive in one of the characters in the scene. So did I just run on and on there?
Oh, no, but that was great. I maybe a little bit, but it was great. I appreciate that. There's a lot there, obviously, but I really think that when we encounter, I guess when we encounter things that are almost inexplicable, like you're like a craving for a Regency romance kind of thing, historical romances that doesn't fit with your writing, but you're going to take something out of it. I think that's kind of it's almost like a break in the causality of the universe, not to get too weird here, but where it's like, oh yeah, it's like this was just had to happen. You just kind of know it has to be that way.
Right,
You need to
right.
learn something from this, but you don't know what you're going to learn yet.
Yeah,
You still haven't learned it yet. Of course you don't know what you're going to learn. It's one of those
right.
the weirdest thing. Yeah, but I've experienced things like
It's
that.
yeah, it's like a quest. You're on some quest and
Yeah.
you don't know even what's at the end waiting for you, but you have to take this quest in order to figure out what comes next and where you're going next. I guess I've been,
Compulsion,
thinking about
that's
Lord of the Rings, so maybe that's
yeah.
why I'm. But so
Yeah, no, that's how I think of it too. I actually think of books kind of being that way a lot of the time too. When I get really into a book that I'm writing, because I write some pretty big books. I mean, some pretty long books, like 150, 160,000 words sometimes.
hmm
Some of them get longer. I mean, the one I'm writing now is going to be longer than that. But what it takes to finish a novel, especially when you're pretty new at it. I mean, I'm not that new at it. I've been doing this for 20 years, but when I'm writing a novel, the thing that makes me actually want to finish it means I'll come back to it after it's been a week or after it's been 6 weeks or a month or a year. Just
uh-huh.
because, it's that drive. And do you get that way with books or with, your own books?
Yeah, well,
Or do you
I
write
get a
faster than that?
I write, and mine average around 130,
Oh, so it's pretty long too.
130K, 135. Yeah, my novels are longer like that. I always think, let's end this at 110. And then it's at 135, and I'm like, gosh, I do that every time. But I set my own deadlines, and I'm a real pain in the butt boss. I'll tell you that. I'm so
Okay.
hard on myself, cracking that whip with get it done, stop screwing around. Now you've messed around for an extra month, so now you got to write twice as much every day to get this book out because I will kind of give my readers an estimate on when a book's going to be out, and
Mm-hmm.
I have to try to hit that. They count on that, and if I don't hit that estimate, they'll say, where's the book? You mentioned it several times that it would be out by now. So I kind of I'm really good at pushing myself that way, and some people will call it obsessive, others will say driven. There's all kinds of words for it, but it's really helped me, I think, be successful as an author, both through marketing and through writing a bunch of stories.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, being your own boss, being a good boss, a boss that gets the job done, pretty
Right.
useful, I bet. I'm not
Well,
one of those people at this point. I mean, I'm honestly pretty bad at finishing books.
you need to work on your inner boss, make
I'm
him
working on,
harder on
yeah,
you, crack
I'm
the
making
whip.
a note of that
Well,
now.
I mean, this is what I do for a living. This is what my husband,
Mm,
he's part of this with other parts of the process. And now one of the series we write together. So he's writing as well, and we have deadlines. So, this is our living. So when this is what it takes to put food on the table, that drives you quite a bit as well. There's no messing around. You got to
I,
get the book
yeah,
done. You got to get it out.
ain't that the truth? Ah, yes. But switch gears a little bit here. We've been talking about your books and your writing, but what have you been reading lately? Reading or watching? I mean, it sounds like you've
Well,
been reading a lot of Regency romance, to be honest.
no, these Regency romances, it's crazy. I love them. The writing's amazing. So, I mean, I some of my fans help me pick out what to read. So I've been enjoying that. But I also do watch a lot of movies because I'm a visual learner. So movies are really key to helping me picture scenes. Like when I'll start a book, which I'm doing right now, starting the next Deadwood number 12. As I flesh out things, I'm trying to picture the scene and get the whole thing like a movie, like a director. Okay, we'll have people here, we'll have this going, this and this will happen. So watching movies is big, series and movies. And I honestly, okay, so I write supernatural suspense. And I told you all the genres. One thing I don't write is science fiction.
Mm,
But one thing I love to watch is science fiction. So
interesting.
I will watch. I'll go to Sci-Fi on Netflix and see what I can find, and on Amazon, wherever. What kind of movies? Even not the greatest movies, but there's something about science fiction that I enjoy watching and learning from. And so that, and then also comedy. I like, the Jumanjis are a nice break from my head because it's just, something to make me laugh, especially in this day and age, right? Something, and humor. So it takes, when it's dark times like what we've had, it's not easy to write humor because, in everyday life, we're not sitting here laughing, ha, 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 all the time. So a lot of times it takes being uplifted via a funny movie to get my inner comedian going so that I can put it on the page.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Your media diet has a lot to do with the stuff you can create. I believe that.
Yeah. Boy, and the media today is dark stuff. So.
Oh, I specifically meant like books and movies, but
gotcha.
I didn't mean like the news. No, the news steer clear of that for the most part. It's been bleak.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for being on the show, Anne. It's been great.
Well, thanks for having me. You've made me laugh quite a bit, and that's always wonderful. Always need laughter.
Well, glad I could help. Thanks for being on the show. Where can people find your books, and what should they be looking for from you?
Okay, I'm out there on Amazon for ebooks, Amazon Kobo. I'm on Apple and Nook for audio. All but 2 of my books are out in audio now. So I think there's 27 then you can find out there.
Ooh.
And there are Apple, Amazon, Audible, and then the Deadwood series, the big series, that one's even wider spread on Chirp and all over the place. So you can, if you like listening rather than reading, I'm out there, and you can find the books, at your usual where you buy audios, or you can go to my website, which is www.anncharles.com, and it's just ANN, not ANNE, anncharles.com, and I have links to several of the vendors on my books page that you can go find the books, and there's a reading order, a book list to see which order to read all these things, because a lot of mine cross over. So there's a lot, you'll read one series and there'll be characters in that are in another series. So I've got a reading order or just the series order if you want to see that. So that's on my website as well.
Awesome.
And I'm on Facebook and all the usual social media places too.
Of course. I'm sorry. We had a slight breakup there. I wouldn't have cut you off.
No, that's okay. I know my mind was think. So it was a pause in the brain waves there.
Oh, it's all good. So thanks for listening, everybody. Talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks very much. It's been awesome. And we'll see you listeners later.
That tears it.